Hi everyone, I'm Cal Spriggs. In my previous two videos, I showed you how I painted my Ultramarines Firstborn and Ultramarines vehicles. Today I'm going to show you how I painted my Ultramarines Primaris Space Marines. Let's get to it. My Primaris Ultramarine collection consists of a little bit of everything, lots of single units of different models as they've come out. Some I've acquired secondhand, others I got myself. One of the first things I'd done was remove them all from their bases on this project because I already had 30 mil bases that are 32 mil bases that I glued them on. I'd already painted those in my previous video, and getting them on was pretty quick. For some of these, though, I didn't have pre-made bases, so I wanted to put some nice rubble and basing materials on them. So you can see me doing that here for the Redemptor Dreadnought bases. There was a lot of, they're huge bases. I think they're 60 mil bases. So trying to find a good mix of debris and battlefield rubble and stuff to put on there was basically pretty time consuming. It was a lot of like checking and seeing what looked good, what fit in different places. I have a lot of bits and pieces that I've cut off from making terrain or from fixing vehicles that I just kind of used to add a little bit more life to these bases so they weren't just kind of flat and boring. One thing I really didn't want to do was make these bases any taller because the Redemptors are already huge. You can see I actually used my sand bin there and didn't manage to spill sand everywhere. I was pretty proud of myself on that. So one of the first things I did with a lot of these guys, they were already primed ultramarine blue, so all I did there was go through and paint all of the weapons, a lot of the little gubbins on them all black so that they, when I painted them the colors I wanted, the blue didn't show through. I highly recommend that for anyone who primes their Space Marines or a base color of their armor, because you get a kind of toy-like look if you don't go back through with black and hit all the detail areas that you're planning on painting, because the blue kind of, especially for like Ultramarines or Blood Angels, the prime color oftentimes kind of shows through a little bit. So hitting them with black or gray or a neutral brown works really well to kind of prevent that saturation of color coming through. The downside of this for me was that I had a lot of these guys to paint. I was working my way through quite a few of them, so it was not exactly the most exciting experience batch painting these Primaris like this. It's pretty time consuming going through painting black on all the details. So I had a couple videos playing in the background. I was catching up with some of my Netflix and YouTube subscriptions, and just trying to keep myself distracted as I batch painted these guys. Speaking of subscriptions, this is a great time to remind you to like and subscribe the video. And if you haven't, go ahead and check out my website, calspriggs.com, or my Amazon page where I write science fiction and fantasy books. So moving on, I finished off painting all the black on these guys, and while I was letting that dry, I started working on the bases some more. So I'd already gotten those bases that I put stuff on primed them gray sear, and then I just glued them on most of the models. So the Dreadnoughts, Redemptor Dreadnoughts, and the suppressors and instigators, or whatever they are. It's really hard to keep all the different Primaris names separate. And then I went through after the black had dried, and I started painting on Wazdaka red. Now, the reason I went with red on these guns, a lot of the current Primaris are kind of tactical, but I think the red ties them back to their classic Space Marine, and it also gives a nice contrast, especially against the very blue as far as these Ultramarines go, and it ties them back, gives them a kind of classic vibe, which I really like, and the color contrast. You can see my Primaris Ancient there with his standard that I stole a Custodius banner from. I really love how these guys turned out once I had them on the bases, and I used this neon green for the plasma. It didn't go on very easy till I watered it down, but once I had gotten it watered down, it looked really good. Now, not all of my Space Marines were primed blue. This guy had been painted and primed gold, along with his two honor guard. This is the Primaris Marnius Kelgar, and I wanted to make him more in matching with the rest of them, so I toned down that gold, made him a little less blinging, and got him some blue. And then with his honor guard, I completed them, added a few more details so that they matched. Now I also had the Indominus Crusade box, and I had all the models from that. I'd put material on their bases, got them primed gray, and wanted to get them matching the rest of my army. So first thing I did was I used some Celestium blue contrast paint to give them that kind of nice blue. And then I went through, and for the gold highlights on these guys, I went with Nazdrag yellow, which does a really nice non-metallic gold. And for this, it was just a matter of picking out the details. Now, on my Redemptors, these two Redemptors had already been primed blue. Again, I went with red on the weapons and some silver for some metal spots and little bits of gold. You can see the Blade Guard. I'd done the shields, done their little pauldrons and stuff. Picked out a lot of details on these guys. They have a ton of detail, and the contrast paint did a great job of pulling that detail out. There was a lot of details to paint, of course, but really like how they turned out. I really liked picking out all the little details on them. And here they are, tabletop ready. I love how that neon green popped with the different plasma squads. I really liked how the bases, even though I did different types of bases, they all still seem to sort of match that battlefield rubble look. The Redemptors, I feel like they still need a bit of work. They look good, but they don't feel complete. I think stencils will help with that. And then the Blade Guard and some of those characters with the shields and the heraldry and stuff, that I think they just came out fantastic. I'm really excited to actually play with them now. Intercessors, what can you say? Marnius Calgar again, and his little guards. They're cool. Don't know how much I'll play with them. And then I've got the big guy himself, Rubute. So all in all, doing this army, working through all the different Primaris models, it was an interesting experience. It was kind of frustrating. There was a lot of scrambling. I did this over a day. Yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.